You want them fast? You want them cheap. So right now, we're gonna take a look at the best race cars under $20,000. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yo, make sure to check out my dog Beatley's Instagram. My fiance does an amazing job of posting wonderful pictures every single day. The cars we're gonna look at today are pretty baller. Most of them have over 400 horsepower. We're gonna explore cars as new as 2018 and some oldies but goodies that are sure to make the tires spin and put a massive grin on your face. For each car, we're gonna take a look at the specific model year and price ranges, the engine size and horsepower, the 0 to 60 time and quarter mile time, and of course, we're also gonna take a look at some of the good and some of the bad. And at the end, I don't even know what that was. But at the end, I'm gonna show you all the cars in a cool little table so that you can easily compare all the stats. Folks, if you're interested in the nitty gritty of how car financing works, I made a pretty cool video explaining it all. Make sure to check it out. I'm gonna put it in the description below. First on deck is the Chevy Corvette, a monster of a sports car that's always rivaled exotic supercars in terms of stats like horsepower and quarter mile time. Specifically, the C6 Corvette was produced from 2005 to 2013, and you can pick one up for just under 20K. Now, I've got a little personal experience here since I had a C7 Vet for about a year, and I gotta tell you, that car was pretty cool. But definitely expect some major oversteer if you've got a heavy foot. But hey, that's where the fun's at, right? Right? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's where it's at. Let's talk about engine displacement. The initial version that was released in 2005 all the way to 2007 came with a 6-liter LS2 motor that pushed out 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. However, Chevy upped the ante in 2008 when they introduced the LS3 motor in the C6, which was a 6.2-liter, 430 horsepower, and 424 pound-feet of torque monster. Now, the C6 could do 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds, which is pretty damn good, and it crushes a quarter mile in under 13 seconds. Of course, depending on who's driving, weather conditions, tires, etc. But you get the point. Now, some of the good. It could be a fantastic daily driver, and it has over 400 horsepower. As usual with Corvettes, the stats are as good as its $200,000 rivals. The brakes are awesome, and they give you amazing stopping power. It has very tight handling around corners, and that makes them amazing track cars. A lot of fun. Here's some of the bad. The interior is definitely a little crappy. They improved this in the C7, but unfortunately the C6 is slacking major in this area. Another thing is that one of the things I hated most about my C7 is that there was a rattle, a squeak, a noise coming from everywhere. The back, the front, inside my head, it doesn't matter. These cars rattle a lot, so get ready for it. Quite frankly, I think for the money, performance might not get any better than the Corvette, but we still got some more in the lineup. So let's check them out. All right. Some of you guys might not be expecting this one, but the Nissan 370Z has just the right combination of nimbleness and power. It kind of feels like a baby Porsche. I'm not lying. I had a 911 for 6 years, and these things are a lot of fun and invigorating to drive. Let's look at some of the stats. You can get a 2014 to 2018 370Z for about $16,000 to $19,000. I mean, you can dig as far back as 2010 and get one for 10K, but you're also gonna have around 100,000 miles. The Z rocks a 3.7-liter V6 with 332 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. The base model does 0 to 60 in around 5.2 seconds, which is fast, but it could be a little better, and does the quarter mile in around 13.7 seconds. Here's some of the good. The engine and transmission delivers strong acceleration and very quick responses. With the V6, you're definitely going to get decent gas mileage. Also, it has a rev match mode, which is super cool for manual transmissions, so you can get that perfect downshift every time, and it sounds really cool. Here's some of the not so great. It really hasn't changed much since the 350Z came out. The interior quality is not that great. Even 2017s show a lot of wear and tear already. It does have a decently stiff suspension, so it could be a problem for long trips. Even though it has over 300 horsepower, it's still relatively low compared to the other cars that we're gonna look at. This next car needs no introduction. The BMW M3 is an iconic road and track car with its sleek looks and very fast performance. The M3 was introduced back in the 80s, folks, and it's been thrilling drivers ever since. You can get a 2007 to 2008 model for around $18,000 or $19,000. And the cool part is that this was the first time that they were fitted with a 4-liter V8 motor. V8, 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 V8. This thing redlines at 8,400 RPM. It's got 414 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, the M3 could take you from 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds, and it could do the quarter mile in the 12s, high 12s. Here's some of the good. It makes for a great track car. I've seen a lot of guys out there with these things, and they're a lot of fun and definitely extremely competitive. The V8 motor is a powerhouse, and the exhaust gives it a very engaging personality. It sounds sweet, dude. Another good thing is that it's a German car, so the interior has pretty good quality. Here's some of the bad. Starting in 2007, the E90 version of the M3 lost a little bit of that intuitive steering that you had in the previous model, the E46, but it's still pretty refined and precise. One of the best sounding American cars out there, and a resident of Car and Driver's top 10 best cars of 2013, the Mustang GT is an absolute joy on the road. Hey, sure, it's a little big and bulky and it's reminiscent of the old school big muscle car era, but for under 20K, it definitely packs a punch. You can get yourself into a 2013 to 2014 Mustang GT for around 19K. If you do want to go a little higher, I've even found some of the newer models starting in 2015 for a little bit above 20K, but for the purposes of this video, we'll stick to cars under 20K. The 2014 Mustang GT's got a 5-liter V8, pushing out 420 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. It does 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds and can do the quarter mile in about 13.2 seconds. Now here's some of the good. There's a lot of torque and tire shredding power in that 5-liter motor. You could get lucky and find one that has the upgraded options like Brembo brakes, leather seats, and a pretty cool glass roof. Let's take a look at some of the bad. The steering wheel isn't telescopic. This might not be much of a big deal, honestly. You're just gonna have to wiggle the seat around a little bit to find that perfect driving position. Also, as is the case in this category, the interior lacks a little bit of quality. You're not gonna get a luxury feel, but hey, it's an American muscle car. Another con is that the rear axle is heavy, so you might get a little bit more oversteer than you want on the track, or just about enough, depending on what you're looking for. And of course, we can't mention the Mustang without talking about its rival, the Chevrolet Camaro. A legend in its own right, the Camaro has been tearing up American pavement since 1966. And this 2015 version just looks so mean. Oh, and you can pick one up for around 19K. The Camaro SS rocks a 6.2-liter V8, rocking 426 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. It does 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds. And get this, it rocks the quarter mile in 12.3 seconds. That's blistering fast, and the fastest of all the cars we've looked at so far. Here's some of the good. It's got massively strong acceleration and a beast mode quarter mile time. It looks so good, it looks so good, it's so menacing. The handling is spot on, giving you a lot of joy on those windy roads. Here's some of the bad. Again, with the Camaro, you're gonna run into the same issue that you run into with all the other cars in this category. The interior is not that great. But even though the interior is not that great, Chevy added in a 7-inch touchscreen, which is actually pretty cool. And hey, we probably don't care about this too much, but the backseat is a little cramped compared to some of the other muscle cars in this category. Now the last on the list is actually a 4-door, but a fast 4-door. We can't forget what's been a legend in the tuner and rally communities, the Subaru WRX STI. Now the WRX has been around since the 90s, and the STI version since the early 2000s, when Subaru was just completely dominating the World Rally Championships and everybody wanted to get a WRX. Now, you can get yourself into a 2012 version for around $19,000. And even though the horsepower is a little bit lower than some of the other cars we've looked at, it still won't disappoint. The engine's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo that pushes out a modest 305 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque. It does 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds and clocks in a quarter-mile time of about 13.5 seconds. Here's some of the good. Compared to the rest, it's got 4 doors, so you've got a little bit more space. Another good is that it comes with Brembo brakes and you've got rear and front limited slip differentials. And the only bad that I found is the same issue as the other cars. The interior sucks. Now that would have been an issue when it MSRP'd at about $40K, but for $19,000, I think we might be able to let it slide. Now I have to give an honorable mention to the 2009 to 2010 Cadillac CTS-V. It is a powerhouse of a vehicle with a supercharged V8 that puts out a whopping 556 horsepower at 6,100 RPM and 551 pound-feet of torque. It can do 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds and it clocks in at just around the 20K mark. Now let's recap and see how all of these compare. The Caddy rings in the most horsepower, but it won't have that race car type feel. The Subaru has the least power, but an amazing tuning community. The Vet will probably get you closest to an exotic car type feel, but it's also the oldest of the group. The Beamer's got a great balance between comfort and power, and it'll get you into the 12s in the quarter mile. Now, I'm super curious to know which one you would pick. Let me know in the comments below. Would you add any to the list? Which one's your favorite? All in all, I don't think you could go wrong by picking any of these cars. There's a huge aftermarket community for all of them, and I'm sure they're gonna bring you a lot of joy. Hey, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so that you never miss a Feels Wheels episode. Remember, buckle up. See ya.